But just for conversation's sake, Dave, like I said, I'll run you through just a rough economic impact. We're anticipating a hotel of 80 to 100 rooms. Okay, let's just say 100 rooms to make the math easy. Normally, when we develop hotels, we'd be looking for 70, 72% annualized occupancy. We believe that here, because of the heavy seasonality, it'll be lower than that. So for the sake of easy conversation, let's say we're going to run an annualized occupancy of 60%. Of course, in the summers and weekends, that occupancy will be running closer to, 80 to 100%. And on the weekdays when we're catering to, board retreats, and corporate board meetings and things like that, and programming, college programming, we'll probably run slightly lower. But if we run an annualized 60% on 100 rooms, and we imagine that some rooms are single occupancy, solo travelers, they come for business, they come for the conference. Some will be leisure, so it'll be an occupancy of 2 per room. So let's just, for easy math, say 1.5 people per room. If each person's spending $100 when they're in town, so you got about 100 extra people in town a day, each spending, say, about $100. So it's $10,000 a day being spent in Chestertown, which if you multiply over the year, on a very conservative basis, you're at 300, you're like at $3.7 million of direct economic impact. And that's if people only spend $100 when they're in town. Yeah. We have such such a beautiful downtown in Chestertown. And for the entrepreneurs that are making that an activated and engaging central core of a town, I think bringing that much additional revenue into the town, though it doesn't seem like a lot because we don't want to change the character of the town, it's certainly enough to take people from being subsistence entrepreneurs to being thriving entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. Probably will allow for people to expand their operations a bit, might allow for new businesses to enter the marketplace. And all of this is, I think, to the benefit of the community. The simple reason that I believe it will work here is that we're within a 90-mile drive of 3 major northeastern metropolitan areas, 4 if you include Wilmington, right? So these are very large MSAs. And fairly affluent MSAs. You had started seeing it a bit more pre-COVID, but I think post-COVID, the drive-to destinations have done unbelievably well. We own and operate a hotel in Annapolis, very different dynamics. So it's on the Western Shore. It's even, closer to DC and Baltimore. But COVID has ended, but I don't think Annapolis knows that. Like, it is operating at elevated levels. It feels like Annapolis has been rediscovered. Mm. And I think Chestertown, it has great proximity, but it's always been somewhat of a one-day destination, right? Most people would be staying in East End, or they're staying somewhere else, or they're here maybe for a wedding. But it was never an overnight destination. And I think one of the main reasons for that is we didn't have accommodations for people that celebrated the greatest attributes of the community. Keith rightfully mentioned advancement, athletics, admission, and external certification programs are big drivers that will help sustain the hotel while we build up its transient base that will come from both leisure and corporate as the area becomes a little better known. We will be doing, most likely this will be an independent hotel, and we will be handling all of the marketing. And I think for this kind of a hotel and this kind of a travel experience, that's a very, very specific and unique marketing approach that would be taken, right? This is not a hotel that you should be able to find on booking.com, right? Because that's a discount traveler. Here we're looking for the experiential traveler that has a sensitivity or preference for conservation and nature, that has an awareness and an appreciation for higher education.
But the reason why I'm convinced that it does work here at the outset is that it's all about demand generators, right? It is all about having demand that exceeds your supply of room. So anyway, I believe that supply demand is upset in Chestertown for a few reasons. One, because as Jay so eloquently put, I think I've read, multiple Chamber of Commerce reports from Philadelphia or New York or, wherever on this kind of eastern seaboard that reiterate that we're within driving distance of, probably 50% of the population in America, right? If California were closer, we'd have 100%. So you can get here from there very easily. The second thing that's very interesting to me is that there's adequate day trippers coming to the community already. And if you just stop and talk about weddings, for example, there are multiple venues in and around Chestertown that are having more weddings than there are weekends in the year. So they're doing 2 or 3 a weekend. That means people are coming to Chestertown, saluting the bride and groom, and driving home. And all because we don't have a place to house them. Yeah. If the only reason to do this was to become the rooms tower for those wedding venues, this hotel works.
Yeah. You asked about examples of this kind of partnership. Right. And I can think of 2 very recent examples right off the bat. The first one is Rollins College in Winter Park, Florida, which has constructed together in partnership with the town a really lovely boutique hotel that supports their operations and also helps to generate economic vitality, the way Keith was talking about in Winter Park. Even more recent than that, just 2 years ago, Elon University, which, again, though it has the moniker university, it's still very much a smaller institution, much on the scale of a Washington college, and also similarly located in a somewhat rural area, right? So not at all in an urban or an ex-urban area. They created the Inn at Elon, and this has been a tremendous boon to them, both for all the reasons that Keith and Jay have enumerated already, but also they've found a really interesting and unique way to channel some of the revenue from that hotel project into direct support for scholarships for students. So, I mean, there are all kinds of ways in which these projects contribute directly to the success and the mission-driven purpose of an institution of higher learning today. The college sees a tremendous opportunity for whatever project we're able to develop on that land to integrate beautifully with the other pieces of the waterfront campus that we've already established. So just a quick reminder, the college has, within the last 5 years, constructed a state-of-the-art, really world-class boating facility in the Hodson Boathouse. Next to that, in 2019, opened the Siemens Griswold Environmental Hall, which, again, is a living building, an absolute showpiece for environmental science and studies. It's really the pride of the Chesapeake in all those important ways. And then just up the river beyond the bridge is our 5,000-acre River and Fields campus. So when you think about all the potential there, we see this integrating beautifully, as Jay alluded to earlier. This will be incredibly attractive to people who are interested in ecotourism or just the environment writ large, the opportunity to enjoy nature and help preserve it. So we see this integrating beautifully.